Hey guys, now in this video using Graph API, let's invite Gmail user as a guest user in our Azure Tenant. So we already have ASP.NET Core Web API project in Visual Studio, and as of now in this project there is one API which returns all the users from this tenant. But now we want to add an API which will invite new user, right? So we will create post API which will accept user email and redirect URL in request body. So guys, as you can guess, user email, that means with this email we will invite or we will add a new user, right? But why we have this redirect URL? So we have this redirect URL because upon invitation the user will receive an email, right? And he will receive one link in that email, and that will be this redirect URL. So it will be the link of our application where we want to redirect the user after he accepts that invitation. And of course in that post API we will use Graph API to invite this user in tenant. So guys, this is our Azure Tenant or Active Directory, and if you see under users we have two users. So let's click on it. So again we have these two users, and now let's go to the Visual Studio and let's write that code to invite a new user. So guys, we are in Visual Studio and this is our controller, that is user management controller, right? As of now it has one method, that is which returns the list of users from tenant, and here we have that code which actually returns the list of users from tenant. Okay, now let's go back to our controller, and here I will say public async task of action result. I will say invite guest user, and obviously this will be our post call. So here I will say http post and invite guest user, and now obviously to this post method we have to pass the body, right? And again it will contain user email and redirect URL. So let's create corresponding model. So right click, add new item, I'll say guest invite request.cs, and here I will add this code. And obviously when a user is added in this tenant we will need to return some response, right? So again let's create that model, add say new item, I'll say guest invite response, I'll say add, and it's the same, but the only thing is we have one more property, that is status. So when the user is invited, the status it will be invited, let's say. And obviously we need to provide this, that is get invite request as the body of that post call, right? So let's just copy this and let's go to our controller, and here I will say from body I will say guest invite request, and I will say guest invite request, and here I will say where response is equal to UserManagementService dot invite guest user, and to this we have to provide this get invite request. And obviously we don't have this method, right? So let's create it. So let's open this IUserManagementService. Here I will say task of guest invite response, and the method name it is invite guest user, and that's it. And obviously now we need to implement this method in this user management service implementation, right? So let's open it, and yes, it shows this red line. Let's say fix it, and obviously let's implement the interface. And yes, now we have to write our logic over here. So let's just remove it. So first we have to create invitation. So I will say where invitation is equal to new invitation, and to this we have to say invited user email address is equal to, I will say, request dot user email. Then invite redirect URL is equal to request dot redirect URL. Do we need to send invitation? So I will say send invitation message, I will say true. And what will be the custom message sent to that user upon invitation, right? So here I will say invited user message info is equal to new invited user message info, and here I will say customize message body is equal to hello user, welcome on board. Great. And now I will say var response is equal to graph service client dot invitations dot post async, and of course we have to send this invitation, and of course this will be await, and obviously we need to mark this method as a sync. And here I will say return new guest invite response redirect URL user email, and status I will say invited. So that looks okay. Now let's go to our controller, and here also we have to say it's await, and here now I will say return okay response. So it looks okay. Let's rebuild, and the build is successful. So let's run. So let's expand this post method. I will say try it out. And guys, before we execute, let's again cross check how many users we have in this tenant. So again we have only 2 users, and now here I will say invite this user, that is netonwhiteboard@gmail.com, and guys redirect URL. As of now I am saying google.com, but in real world it will be the URL of your application, that is where you want the user to redirect when he accepts that invitation. So here I will say execute, and it says 200 okay, so it looks like it worked, and let's cross check. So here I will say refresh, and yes, we can see the user which we just added. So that's it guys. Thanks for listening.